Welcome everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We hope that all of you who registered are now here with us, and we hope that you will enjoy in our webinar with our great panelists. To get started with our webinar, we are going to go through some house rules, and we would like to share this with you. First of all, this meeting and this Zoom call is being recorded. So if you wish to watch or share a webinar recording, that will be possible on KAICIID YouTube webinar channel. So if you wish also, you can share the link of the webinar to your social networks and with your friends, so they also can join us, even though they did not register. The presentations here in this webinar will be in English. We very much welcome your participation, so please write down your comments in the chat, or you can also raise questions for speakers in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. I will also pick up the questions after the presentations, but unfortunately we cannot take any direct questions through raised hands. We very much look forward to engaging with you, and we will also hold audience polls during the webinar using live link. So we are very much looking forward to hear from you and see your insights about the topic of the webinar. In the meantime, it would be also great if you could introduce yourself in a chat. Let us know where are you coming from, what is your profession, what is also your motivation to join us today. And lastly, we believe in understanding the impact of the webinar thematics, where we can improve and enable later following up. So we will share a link with a short evaluation form for you after the end of this webinar, but also afterwards. And we will be very, very pleased if you would be able to take a few minutes to complete this evaluation form. So, as the world faces heightened challenges such as the COVID-19 pandemics, climate change, and national crisis affecting the global population, there is a very, very big need for young people to be empowered and to be engaged in using interreligious dialogue and intercultural dialogue as a tool in moving their communities forward. Today, we will be speaking with a panel of young people heading interfaith projects and initiatives and hear about their efforts to reduce inequalities in relation to education. But let me first start and introduce myself. My name is Emina Frljak, and I'm coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I have this privilege to moderate this session today. I'm really delighted to moderate our inspiring and motivated panel, and we will have 5 speakers, and we will have 1 introductory speech, which will be delivered by Georgia Gloudi from Greece. Afterwards, we will hear from Diana Umicevic, who's coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina, then from Oluwasegun Ogunsakin, who's coming from Nigeria. Then we will hear from Kadekazi Mene from South Africa. Afterwards, we will have the pleasure to hear from Dania Vijaya, who's coming from Singapore, and then Daniel Del Nido from United States of America. So we have a panel of speakers coming from all around the world. Welcome, dear speakers. And now we will start with the introductory note by Georgia Gloudi, who is a moderator of KAICIID's e-learning courses. Georgia, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Hope you hear me clearly. I am KAICIID's e-learning courses moderator, and I would like to thank you, first of all, the panelists for accepting our invitation to speak about this important topic. And many, many thanks to the attendees who are here with us, and we are interested in how to empower young people for interfaith and intercultural dialogue. So when we start creating the content of a new course, one of our main thoughts is how young people will be impacted by this course. How can we tailor this course to serve the needs and the objectives of young people who are really special and unique? Many recent reports from international organizations, from international non-governmental organizations, from governments, focus on the key role of young people in interfaith and intercultural relations and dialogue. At KAICIID, we offer a wide range of moderated and self-paced e-learning courses, online courses, for interreligious and intercultural dialogue. I think many of you are already familiar with the courses. Only in 2022, more than 50% of the total courses participants consisted of young people between the ages of 18 to 35 from various geographical, social and educational backgrounds. And also, we managed to establish solid partnerships with youth organizations for offering moderated course to young peace activists from diverse areas from all over the world. But here is the key lesson. What have we learned from these young people? I count many lessons, but some of them are the following. Lesson one, both faith-based organizations and non-faith-based organizations, as well as national and local authorities, need to work together for providing safe spaces where youth will be given opportunities to meet other cultures and religions and to acquire hands-on experience in interfaith and intercultural dialogue. It's not, but it's also practical experience. Lesson two, education, both formal and informal or non-formal, both online and offline, is the fundamental tool that will give young people the power to make their voices heard and to bring back to their communities not only actions, not only theoretical knowledge, but also actions. Lesson three, any form of education will empower young people to claim their space in policy-making processes and in playing a more visible role. And I would like to highlight the policy-making procedures, because these are the first step to make their role more visible. Lesson four, sustainability and networking is another important factor. Young people will be able to unite their powerful words and actions by connecting with each other through official networks and associations in order to put into action what they have learned throughout the years. Lesson five, learning is the ultimate objective of dialogue. And as Bostrom wrote, I read it a few weeks ago, and as Bostrom wrote in 1998, learning necessarily involves merely risk, but the pain of giving up that previous generations never faced. They already experienced the pandemic, climate crisis, poverty, unemployment, social injustices, extremism, hate speech, wars, violence, and many other challenges that could come into my mind now. What we need to consider is how we connect with these young people in order to get prepared for contributing in social cohesion, peace building, solidarity, equality, understanding, and resilience. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more from our speakers today. And I really wish to hear interesting and meaningful discussions and questions from our attendees. Many thanks to all of you.
Thank you very much, Georgia. Thank you for the introduction to the topic and for setting the stage for our webinar. And now we shall turn to our panelists. So our panelists today will share their thoughts on the three questions for today's discussion. And the first issue on the table will be how various interfaith capacity building programs focused on empowering youth. But before we hear from our speakers, our audience have the opportunity to share their own thoughts on this topic through our poll. So you can use the link that is posted in the chat for the poll, or you can use also QR code that will appear on your screens, kindly shared by our colleague here. And we ask you this question to answer. So we really want to hear from you as audience. What are the how can interfaith capacity building programs focus on empowering youth? So in 3 words, could you please give us your perspectives and your opinions? And we are looking forward to seeing your answers appearing on our screen that our colleague is kindly sharing here. I can already see some participants are typing in their answers. For those who still didn't manage to join, you can use either the link in the chat, or you can also use the QR code that is appearing at your screen. We can already see some of the answers are coming. Unity, foster caring communities. More participants are joining and typing their answers. We have another response, mentorship, visits, trainings, inclusion, diversity, skills for problem solving, collaboration networks, pooling resources together, information, but I can see that inclusion is the most highlighted one. Obviously, most of the participants actually put inclusion as the answer, but there are more answers coming. Lifelong experience, friendship, mentorship again. We can also see harmony, culture, community development, collaboration networks, and inclusion is becoming bigger and bigger on our screen. Respect, again, training, pooling resources together, foster caring communities, connect studies to work. I can see that we also have 2 more participants typing, and peace and collaboration is another way. Skills for problem solving is also one of the answers that you gave to us. How can or how do interfaith capacity building programs focused on empowering youth? Different communication channels. So we can see a lot of answers coming from you, and the poll is open, so you can also add your answers later on, but definitely what we could see is diversity and communication skills and inclusion that are the biggest ones that you give us as your insights and as your answers. How or can interfaith capacity building programs focused on empowering young people? So we do hope that many people are listening to us now, and they are going to work on the inclusion much more than before. But now, thank you very much for your contributions, and it was great to see your responses here. Now we will move on to our speakers, and our first speaker is Diana, coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina, who is a youth worker and program coordinator at Youth for Peace Bosnia and Herzegovina, and you can see more about her work in her bio in chat. Diana, please take the floor.
Thank you, Amina, and thank all of you guys for this great opportunity. Well, I can say I would like to speak about our own experience due to the fact that I come from the same association that you are also part of, a great group of Youth for Peace, young people from Bosnia and Herzegovina. While planning and implementing different activities for young people, not just in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also regionally, we always try to use some new methods, some new ways of, some new tools that can be used by young people in order to face the challenges that are always new. You know that not just the pandemics, but also other challenges that come across the world every day practically are also affecting young people, especially the ones that are active in the civil society, but also the ones that are not. Young people love to be intrigued and motivated by their facilitators and the educators, and therefore our maxima would be the interaction. So interactive ways of doing workshops, seminars, trainings, etc. is our way to do things. Also a great thing that we like to use in our work is to say that everything that was said by us as facilitators and moderators could also be said by the youth. What I really like to emphasize is the fact that in our country specifically, as a post-conflict country, I don't like to use that word at all, but unfortunately this country has been attacked by this great name. I don't know why, but we are more than a post-conflict society. But when we do some activities with our young and our youth and youth regionally, we would like to do it also with others, with adults, for example. So the fact that the thing that I would like to stress out is the fact that we lack intergenerational programs. We can't work just with youth. I mean, youth are amazing; they're a great source, but especially in our country and other post-conflict societies, adults are, you know, a little bit in the margins of the society, and that's not actually a good thing. One thing that is also really important for the interfaith, not just capacity building programs, but generally interfaith collaboration, interreligious collaboration, is the fact that the religious communities themselves should do more to empower their own youth, their own members, to get in interaction with other members of other religious communities. We still have those closed societies, small communities, mostly with homogenical structure. So we now face people that have never ever actually gone to the other parts of the country, and that's really sad because people are traveling all around the world, meeting other cultures, and we still have people that have never left their own city. To make kind of closing my words, but not for last, not for least, as we say, we also need more joint programs and the changing of the perspective of youth, like simply like beneficiaries, simply like participants of our activities. There are great potential, and they already have some great skills and some great capacities already built up. Not just the ones that are, 5 years with great experience in the NGO, but also the ones that are, newly NGO guys. They have great skills, and they should be used, and they should be heard. So I think that generally, not just speaking from the online, but also the offline activities are a great tool, as also Georgia said, to empower those youth, but not just to empower them, but simply give them a space and time to speak up and to share their knowledge and experience.
Thank you very much, Diana. Thank you for this input. And I especially like your highlighting the importance of intergenerational dialogue. And I'm coming from the same context as you are coming. And this is definitely something what we lack. And definitely religious communities must do much more to empower their young people to get out from the community and interact with the others. Thank you very much for your insights from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And now we will travel to Oluwasegun Ogunsakin, who is an administrator, trainer, and academic with a focus on research in peace education. And we will also hear from him on the topic that Diana also addressed. Oluwasegun, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Amina. It's nice being in this webinar. As a youth in Nigeria, the youth have been engaging in different diversity of programs, but I'll be talking from my own experience of what have been done by my organization, Bearweather International. I work as a project manager for this organization, and we engage in interreligious dialogue between the Fulani herdsmen and also the farmers in Southwest Nigeria, and also in the northern part of the country, where they've been faced with different conflicts based on the fact of a religious crisis, and also trying to bring about conflict resolution among young people, why they don't need to belong or join the different militant group that are being recruited into committing different terrorism attacks. Majorly, we've been working with different community members, especially in the Southwest Nigeria, where we have cases of bringing about youth to come out, and their voice should be heard, by the government in terms of inclusion into the election that is coming 2023. Nigeria will be having its general election next year, February. And the need for youth to be included in elections and also in governance is very essential, because inclusion of youth will bring about new ideas on how the country can move forward, even away from the issue of security matters, and also the cases of ethno-religious crisis that majorly occur in the northern part of the country. And last year and also this year, we engaged in the inclusion of youth in inter-religious conflict resolution between the farmers, which are majorly the youths, and also the herdsmen, which are majorly the Fulanis. If you go along with the cases or the news happening in Nigeria, we've heard about cases whereby youth are majorly part of the crisis that is happening in the country. And I think we find out that it is because the youth are being neglected by the government. And because of this, we have high rate of unemployment, high rate of poverty in the country. And because of that, they are easily being lured to join different set of groups or different set of militant groups. We raise up the programs bringing about the need for youth to be part of the governance in the country in Nigeria. And that was why this year we involve youth in faith unison, in youth empowerment. So we bring about different religious leaders in the community in Southwest Nigeria, specifically in Lagos. We bring about 200 youths. We empower them, and also we bring about inter-religious dialogue between them, why they need to understand the essence, why they need to belong in the community, why they need to shun terrorism, why they need to shun oligarchism, and also election talks, because they are being majorly used by politicians to cause harm, to cause chaos during the election. So we developed a program for the youth in the Southwest Nigeria, Lagos specifically, on empowering them on faith unison, bringing about different faiths, beliefs, Christians, Muslims, and also traditional religious worshippers, because we understand that religions bring about people together. And because of that, we were able to, bring about religious, different faiths, leaders, and also the youth to come together to dialogue on what the youth needs to do, not to be used as a tool by the politicians to cause chaos, as the elections in Nigeria is coming by 2023, February. So we were able to, build capacity of the youths, about 200 youths, and try to enlighten them why they need to shun religious crisis, why they need to shun joining the bandits, why they need to join the Boko Haram, because majorly the youth are being used by the Boko Haram sect, especially in the northern part of the country. So various programs are being developed and are being implemented by my organization, Bellwether International. And also as a teacher, I engage also in community to community, meeting with the youths and trying to emphasize the need to understand their power as a youth in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Odavashugun, and thank you for sharing this with us. And especially, I want to highlight again your reference about including young people much more in the election processes and in the decision-making processes in the government. And I think this is the problem that you are not just facing in Nigeria, but also elsewhere in the world. And this is something super important. And thank you very much for working on that in Nigeria. So from Nigeria, we are now going to South Africa. We are going to KAICIID Mene, who is a youth development specialist at South Africa Youth Forum. And you can learn more about KAICIID in her bio in chat. And KAICIID, the floor is yours, and your 3 minutes are going on.
Thank you so much, Amina. Good afternoon to all my co-panelists and all the young people who are working tirelessly to advance the Youth for Peace agenda and bring about harmony in the world and strengthen development and coexistence. Today, I want to, first of all, thank KAICIID for the support that they continue to give to the Southern African Youth Forum. I think, as you know, we are a regional youth body, and we support, co-create solutions with all organizations and young people in all SADC member states. So we are definitely in a position where having numerous partnerships with KAICIID has allowed us to really reflect on today's topics based on the courses and some of the engagements, the curriculum that we've been able to implement with the KAICIID program, which has also given us an indication of some of the challenges that are still present amongst the youth. I want to say that we're making strides as a world, and particularly as a continent, to strengthen commonalities. And I think now in a technological era, in an era where we are able to sit in diverse panels, socioeconomically, culturally, continentally, globally, the world and the space now has shrunk. And I mean, look at us now, we're engaging from all across the world with the common vision, working in various capacities to bring about peace. And I think that is something that we should acknowledge in the webinar, to say that we are well on our way towards this journey of capacitating young people and shrinking this bias, or shrinking the space in order to enlarge and unlearn our biases about each other. So I just want to start there and say we're doing well as a global world and as a continent to do that. I want to just make suggestions, since I only have 3 minutes. I think the only kind of reflection that I would have moving forward on this particular topic is the idea of relevance. So we have a lot of initiatives that want to capacitate young people, but they don't have access to them because they are not, young people don't see them as relevant. And those things that create this perception of relevance are driven by representation. So very often young people aren't able to access tools and awareness platforms, or any platform that gives them a sense of a bigger picture. And I think we as young people and as peace practitioners now need to strengthen that component of streamlining our interventions, particularly in the SADC region. I've noticed that language is a thing. And for us as Africans, language is linked to culture, is linked to norms, is linked to socialization. And I think when we speak English, or there's a class gap, or there's an online program, we tend to shy away. If you are in the grassroots and you're a community leader, or you are a faith-based organization working at grassroots level, tackling practical solutions in underdeveloped areas. So I think with the strides that we are making, the challenge now for us as peace builders is to focus on representation, to focus on culture, and to appropriate or kind of streamline these interventions at a more kind of accessible level. And I think just by what we're doing here in this platform and the various partnerships that we formed, I mean, Georgia knows that it's possible. So in the next year, we'll then be able to translate our interventions and empower young people to unlearn their biases and strengthen this this empowerment, so that they understand that difference or other is not intimidating, but to also be able to exercise their agency and practice their agency through channels that are pro-democratic or pro-political, anything that contributes towards development other than conflict. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kawakazi. I was just going to jump in to tell you that your 3 minutes were past, but thank you for wrapping up here. And I definitely want to mention once more what you said at the beginning, the thing that we are already doing great things, and that this webinar here is showing that we are already working on unlearning those biases. Sometimes we are just, wrapped up in criticizing everything what we do and not looking at all the great things that we did. So thank you for emphasizing that. And I'm sure there is many, many things that many other young people are working and are doing in the world and that we are not aware. But thank you for intervention. And from South Africa, we are going to Singapore. We are going to Dania Vijaya, who is a founder of Interfaith Youth Circle, created with the purpose of connecting youth interfaith leaders of various faith groups. And you can learn more about her work also in her bio in chat. So Dania, your 3 minutes are on.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me here, KAICIID, to speak. It's 5:30 a.m. where I am right now in Vancouver. Happy to see you all this morning. I'm very heartened to see the active poll results that the words here are very familiar to me: inclusion, different channels, peace and collaboration. So I want to speak a bit about the organization that I co-founded in 2015. Back then in Singapore, there wasn't a space to talk about different belief systems. Faith even was not in the public discourse because it's a topic that the government really doesn't want to touch. So that's why my friends and I, we founded it back then. And over there, we do ground-up discourse. So things like scriptural reasoning. We even organize interfaith poetry slams. We break fast together. We do break fast with people of various faiths. So some of the things that our government has done has been inculcating funding to actually empower ground-up youth groups like ours. So we also have been able to use that fund to make bigger events. And some of the things that my organization specifically has done is really include more youths in our discourse. So on the ground, like I said, there wasn't a space to have conversations like this. So empowering the youth also meant enabling them to speak about this, speak about different intersectional issues that's involving faith, by participating. So like the events that I mentioned, scriptural reasoning, it allows us to really go into the scripture and really talk about how do we see the scriptures, how do we interpret the verses, and it allowed us to see how even people from the same faith group might not read the same line the same way. So in that way, we could see each other as people. We break down the barriers of the other, and the point of it was really to create long-lasting friendships. So these are things that I feel we cannot give from the top down. It has to come from the bottom up and then keep growing that way. So I think this is the space that we are holding. That said, other than that, we are trying to include more youths in the public discourse, in the conversation with government members. So by volunteering with our organization, youths also get access to closed-door invitations and tea sessions with dialogues, with international members who are in the interfaith field and in the peace building field. We have council members of various faith groups. So in Singapore, we're a very small multi-religious city. So we have Buddhists, we have Sikh people, we have Christian, Muslim, Taoist, Jewish, Baha'i, amongst others. So they get to share their views across communities. We also allow our youth access to news interviews, because when news agencies come to us, we push the youths from our organization forward. So these are some of the ways that we empower our youths.
Thank you very much, Dania. And thank you for mentioning the scriptural reasoning, which is very important method and way how we can actually access our scriptures. And thank you for mentioning the fact that unfortunately, not all of us interpret the same way that the scriptures, and sometimes it can be unfortunately used for not so good things. And we are witnesses of that. But thank you for doing that, and thank you for working with young people in Singapore, but also worldwide on these issues and topics. So from actually Canada, from Vancouver, where you are now, we are traveling to United States. It's pretty close, at least according to me. And we are going to hear from our fifth speaker, Daniel Delnido, who is a Senior Education Program Associate at Tannenbaum. And you can see also his bio in the chat and learn more about his work. So Daniel, your 3 minutes are on.
Thank you, Amina. And it's really wonderful to be in this, virtual room with everyone. As the last panelist, it's my privilege to be able to hear about the work of my fellow panelists before me. And it's just really inspiring to hear about all the projects that you all are putting on. When I was looking at those poll results as they came on the screen, the word that really stuck out to me was the word community. So in my work at the Tannenbaum Center for Interreligious Understanding, we engage with schools, primarily K through 12 schools. So in the United States, that means ages 5 and 6 to about the age of 18. And in our work, we try to see the school as a community in itself. And try to engage all members of that community to help empower the youths within that school community. So we find that the best way for students to really learn skills of respectful communication, of curiosity, of conflict resolution, of understanding their own identities and being able to engage with difference is by creating a support network that really runs through the entire school community. So we try to work not just with youth directly, but we work with teachers and administrators and staff and parents to try to set community norms of engagement, norms of communication that can run throughout the entire community and really transform the culture of the school as an organization, as a community. And we're interacting with in some cases young children, people at the age, like I say, of 5, 6, 7, as well as teenagers. And so we try to calibrate our learning to the ages that we're working with. So at the younger ages, 5, 6, 7, 8, we're really working on just trying to get them excited about diversity and excited to learn about their fellow classmates and their differences. Once we start to get to those older age ranges, we're really trying to have them think very critically about their place in the world, their place in society, their agency in society and in politics, and to think critically about their biases. But I think that the most exciting thing about our work is the way that we're able to see school communities and teachers integrate learning about religious diversity into the school day. Just make it a normal part of learning so that students are learning it, they're internalizing it like a language, right? They're internalizing it like a language so that by the time that they are 18 and coming out of the school community, it's just their, first primary mode of communication. And one of the teachers that we worked with, she told us something really wonderful, that her third graders started to really celebrate each other's differences. And she said her words were that it makes being different fun and exciting. And that's really what we're trying to give to our, to the youth that we're working with, really give them that experience of valuing and celebrating differences that can translate into skills that will hopefully stick with them and, stay with them even after the time that they're in the school and after the time that we're working with them. We work with youth through a variety of means, whether that's through providing written resources for educators to integrate into their classroom time. We also conduct live programming, workshops, trainings. We also work in depth with a group of teachers on our education advisory board to really try to transform educational practices and make them inclusive. Another word that I saw a lot on that word cloud, to really try to develop best practices in inclusive education. And in all those ways, we're really trying to transform and develop the overall culture and the overall norms and practices of school communities.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for this input of yours, and especially thank you for mentioning teachers and parents and for working with them as well, because we need to have this holistic approach. It's not just enough to work with young people, it's also important to address adults who are raising young people, not just us who are working with them, but also those who live with them and who teach them through their whole life. And all of this work was very, very inspiring, coming from all of you and from all of those inputs that you gave to us. But this is just the first round, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on our next questions. And our second round is going to focus on the question of how can youth benefit from the capacity building programs, especially the online programs. But again, before we go to our speakers, we are also going to you, audience, dear audience. We also want you to give us your inputs to answer the question, how can you benefit from capacity building programs, especially the online ones? Again, our colleague will share the screen with you, and you can also connect either via the link in chat, either via this QR code that you have here. So I'm really excited to see what you can tell us about the benefits of youth from capacity building programs. And the first answer is self-confidence. Easy way to learn. Absolutely. Engagement. Self-esteem. Something that we also could hear from our speaker speaking about importance of communication skills, friendship as well. Developing friendships is not only about learning, it's also about developing connections with people. Building skills, consensus, strengthening the community, starting from the individual and then going to the community level, obviously. But I could see that empowerment, again, is the biggest one. Empowerment is something that most of you put as an answer. Participation, understanding self. Absolutely, it's important to understand yourself before you go to understand other people and understand the community on a bigger scale. Networking. Then again, self-development. Employability, absolutely. This is very important. And we also could hear from Olavashagun about high rates on unemployment in Nigeria, but also from the country where I come from, youth are the most in danger when it comes to employability. They are mostly unemployed, unfortunately. Then we have also, again, employment, easy way to learn, networking, participation, engagement, decision-making skills. All of these are very important, and embracing their differences. All of these are really important, and I do hope that young people can definitely benefit from capacity building programs. The poll will stay open, so you can also give more of your answers later on. And thank you again for giving us this very insightful answers, and thank you for being a part of our poll. And at least through this means we can actually be connected and hear from you as well. But now we are going to hear back from our speakers, and we are going to go in the same order as we did at the beginning. So Diana will again speak first and answer the question on how can you benefit from capacity building programs, especially the online ones. So Diana, your 3 minutes are on, and this time I will be more stricter with all of you and give you only 3 minutes.
Thank you, Amina, for the restrictions. Well, speaking of restrictions, we during the pandemic we all witnessed the crazy Zoom meetings that were endless, and so somebody was trying really to stop that trend, but unfortunately, Corona did its own job. But I also saw that as an opportunity, as you guys already did and wrote in the poll. But also the first thing that crossed my mind is the fact that how online space was really cool. You know, you could really do some great things during the Zoom meetings, not just Zoom meetings, but generally the workshops that were done online, trainings, some capacity building programs, or generally any other activities that was done online, provided with really large scale of tools that you maybe even didn't know how to use. You know, like Mentimeter, for some people, it was, you know, a whole new world. And a lot of people understood that things could also be learned, but also teach differently and also more efficient than offline. So it was really interesting also for me as an educator to see this thing and to see that change, not just with my colleagues, but also with the participants. of different activities. They develop some new, but also strengthen some existing skills. A lot of things that I would, a lot of things that one of the things that also crossed my mind is actually the fact that this self-esteem that you're talking about was also raised in some of the participants, among some of them, because it's not okay for everyone to share their knowledge in front of the people, but when you are in your living room, also maybe closed differently than so formally, everything affected more on young people. And when it comes to the efficiency of their participants, their participation in the activity, it also provided some new ways of doing things. When it comes also, especially from the organizational way of staying, we also faced a possibility to develop some new partnerships, because we had a lot of, as I said, online meetings, but our members that are like newly, that recently joined our organization, we also, gave them the opportunity to participate in those meetings, and we gave them the opportunity to speak up, to also share their knowledge, their experience, and in this way, a lot of beautiful friendships and travel opportunities, scholarships, etc., were a result. So I believe that this is really a great tool. One of the tools, it's not absolutely, I think it's not absolutely politically correct to mention it, but it's one of the online trainings, one of the online courses that I attended. The KAICIID online course really, gave me a lot of things. Also, this opportunity is one of them. So really grateful, and really important for me, not just as an educator, but also as an individual.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for providing your insights also on this question. And thank you also for mentioning the opportunity to have many more partnerships that we actually could make during this pandemics and online programs. And thanks again for sharing with us. And from Diana, we all again go to Oluwasegun. And Oluwasegun, your time is on.
Okay, thank you so much, Amina. What are the benefits to youth from capacity building programs? Specifically, let me start from myself. KAICIID has been one of my, I would say, the most important organization and also website that I consult for different material, especially related to building interreligious dialogue, and also how to promote peace, and also other important elements that are essential for community development, and also polarizations in any community or in any nation. Now, I believe that one of the benefits that youth can get from capacity building is the aspect of learning. In Nigeria, we have cases whereby many youth are illiterate because of poverty. They're unable to go to schools or to learn any trade, to be self-dependent. And because of that, in this year, February, in February, we developed an initiative for youth. And I've said this earlier on when I was answering the first question, a program called Faith Unison for Youth Empowerment. And this will bring about different religious leaders and also community members, including the youth. Especially the program is meant for the youth, but we believe that religion brings people together, and we use religion to promote empowerment. About 6 trading or skills were given to the youth. About 300 youths in a community called Igboye in Lagos, Nigeria, were empowered, because we believe that when youth are being empowered, there will not be an instrument for politicians or for dubious people to use to commit crimes. So they were able to learn 6 skills, ranging from barbing, how to make hair, ranging from baking of cakes, also how to make their shoes, how to make clothes, fashion designing, and also we were able to teach them how to make iron. That's an African traditional way of making clothes that will not be too much, that do not really require capital. So we were able to train the youth for 3 days on skills. And because the youth they are very important, we cannot neglect them. But if the government failed to employ or to provide the means of employment for them, then there is need for individuals that have this capacity to support the youth. So we bring this initiative for about 300 youths in the country in this particular community called Igboye. You can check that online, Lagos, Nigeria. So because it's a rural underserved community. So we believe that when they are being empowered, then the rate of insecurity or crime in the country will reduce. And when this initiative is being expanded to other parts of the country in Nigeria, I believe that the level of crimes in the country will reduce. So giving them these life learning skills will help them, even without looking for white collar job or looking for office job. They can be self-dependent. They can be entrepreneur on their own, and giving them opportunity even to employ other people by the time they are able to implement what they've learned in their community. And this will bring about even prosperity for them. It will give them source of living, and the level of crimes in the community will reduce. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oluwasegun, and thank you for highlighting this importance of these kind of programs, first for young people who are not able to have access to formal education, but also for highlighting importance of the programs for employing young people and giving them opportunity to shy away from crime, to shy away from all the bad things, but actually giving them some kind of alternative through the programs that you are organizing. So from Oluwasegun, we are going the same order as we said, and we are going to hear from KAICIID also her insights.
Thank you so much, Amina. I like this question because I've seen young people really benefit from this style of learning. After COVID and us having to, interact, we identified many opportunities, and I think technology was something that really brought us together and allowed people to innovate and even keep afloat, keep going when we weren't able to engage. So I think when we launched the course about a year and a half ago, and we've been partnering with KAICIID now. So we launched the course, and we enroll young people from all the member states. So for me, it's not just one country. It's 16 countries under one region who get to learn through the course. Other peace practitioners or development practitioners who are involved at grassroots level and are able to come together through this platform and network and learn. So the benefits for me, I would say, the feedback and kind of the sense that I'm getting is a sense of confidence. I've seen some of the young people who take part in the program get a sense of confidence because they get to meet different people and they are affirmed. Their efforts are affirmed through this global space. But also some of the things that they are tackling within their programs at community level are brought up in the curriculum. So they get to see that they're not just because we start organizations in Africa from a need. So if we have an NGO and a feeding scheme, it's because of poverty and a need to maybe feed children. But you don't realize that forms part of an SDG or a global kind of agenda. And I think opening up this type of style is not only accessible to the person who did not have an opportunity, so they're not subjected to things that are beyond them, socioeconomically. It's an opportunity for them to learn in their own pace and discover their strengths, and to be affirmed that what they're doing is actually it's valuable and it matters. And I think this type of learning is unconventional, but so fruitful for the young person. As also, we come from traditional modes of learning, of where you see a black and white book and you have a lecturer. But having these kind of platforms where young people have interactive resources, there's visual material, they get to see a form of representation in a screen. It really affirms you and allows you to start saying, okay, this is what I've done, but how can I take it to a particular level? Because now you know that you are aligned to something and you're not comparing yourself. All you're simply doing is networking and identifying with like minds. And I think from a SADC perspective, when the students came back and they were like so proud, you know, to have completed the program, that's the sense that you got, that actually it's bigger and I contribute to something bigger, and it's accessible. So it's, I can do it, and I can do it as many times as I want, and I can upgrade what I've already learned, and I can really empower myself stronger and stronger, you know, as required in my peace building journey. But also, as Africans, our traditional leaders and faith leaders are a big part of our lives. As an African child, you know, that's how we are brought up. Community matters to us. We are a communal setup. So being able to see that even that lineage or that socializing is acknowledged, you know, in an SDG sense, I saw the young people really be inspired and be motivated to come back and even take other courses.
I'm sorry, Kawakazi, that I have to interrupt you, but we really have to go on, and we will also have opportunity to speak in another round. I'm really sorry. And your speech is amazing, and thank you for highlighting the unconventional and but yet very fruitful purpose that of the programs that capacity building programs can give to young people. And also thank you very much for giving us a concrete example of the program that you are implementing and what are actually the benefits of it. So you will have the opportunity to speak more, definitely, and I'm sorry for interrupting you. And now we go to Dania to hear also from her. Your 3 minutes are on.
All right. So I really like this question too, just because the online space, especially social media nowadays, is really a tool that has, it's just a tool, right? It can be used for good or bad. So when we first started this in 2015, my organization, it was because there was a lot of online conversations that were happening that were Islamophobic, amongst other things. And that's why I think there is benefit in using the online space to do campaigns, although in my opinion, face-to-face dialogue is really essential. That said, with COVID, Interfaith Youth Circle moved a lot of our events, even scriptural reasoning, online. And we also started doing live events and dialogues. And from that, I guess the advantage has been more international participation, which is also great to be involved in for our youths. So other ways that our youths have benefited have been really through learning how to create online campaigns. So outreach campaigns, they've started to gain more social media skills, learn how to work with the algorithms that are happening on the social media space, design skills, Zoom skills. Other than that, other capacity building programs that moved online, such as intersectional conversations with government, with public discourse. So they get to participate in that online. The government also then gets to hear from the youths on their opinions. So in that way, I saw some of the things that were mentioned in the poll being like giving youth skills, right? So other than that, it would be like agency, giving them the chance to actually get their voices be heard. So they feel like they really make a difference in what's happening on an official level. So with the scripture reasoning moving online, they also get to use their leadership skills. They get to learn how to facilitate multiple perspectives, being exposed to multiple perspectives. They also learn how to disagree better with people from all over the world. Because we live in such a divided, polarized world, I feel at this times that we are living in. So they get to learn the soft skills, right, of negotiation, of listening, of humanizing others. So I think all those skills are skills that can be picked up from face-to-face dialogue. But so I guess the biggest difference from moving to an online space would be definitely a lot more international, multiple exposures from all around the world. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dania. Thank you for your 3 minutes. And I would definitely like to emphasize the skill that we don't talk so much about and don't emphasize it so much. So obviously the skill of, disagreeing or not agreeing with somebody in a proper manner. And this is something that we are not taught so much. And it's so important. And thank you for obviously emphasizing it here. And this is something that definitely each capacity building program for young people should think on and should somehow incorporate it. And from Dania, we go again to Daniel. Daniel, your 3 minutes are on, and I'm looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you. I also really love this question because there's so many different types of benefit that students get from this work. And, I think it's worth really thinking through, the variety of benefits that students can get. One we see a lot is just academic. By integrating diversity education and thinking about social skills and the sort of soft skills that Davia was just talking about into everyday classroom instruction, youth are really able to connect their learning at school to their own lives a lot more, and really are able to engage with their learning in different ways and find relevance in what they're learning in something that they can then take up in their own lives and enact in some other setting. So we see those kinds of academic benefits coming out of this programming as well. Also, skill building. It's one thing that our teachers will tell us a lot is that it's really difficult to find the hours in the day to discuss these soft skills, things like communication, things like conflict resolution, all these skills of dialogue and disagreement, right? Like it's hard to find time in the day to really address those and make that a central component of learning at school. So I think another benefit of this kind of programming is that it really creates that space within the school and within the school day for that. Going outside of that, one other thing I would add is safety. Another benefit that that youth get from this. The kids that we work with and that our teachers work with feel safe to share who they are and to be themselves around their classmates, around their peers. In fact, one of the teachers we were working with told us that a student, she was an Asian American student, and this was right after COVID began, and there was a lot of anti-Asian discrimination in the United States. At that time in COVID, a lot of people were sort of blaming Asian immigrants for COVID. And this student left our teacher a note saying that her class was the only class she felt safe being herself in. And this was as a result of the work that we have been doing with this teacher. And so really seeing that sort of brought home to me that that another benefit is that students can just feel safe to be who they are in these settings if they're managed correctly. And then I think just another thing I would just point out is that one thing that's really rewarding about this work is that kids are always surprising us, right? They're always surprising us with their creativity and their ability to take the learning and the skills that we give them and take it in new directions that we hadn't anticipated. Some students were putting on restorative justice sessions in their classrooms as a result, or and teachers were leading these as a result of the work that we were doing. And then just the last thing I would say is that one benefit that comes out of this, and this is more of a benefit for us, but that students in youth tell us what they need, right? We empower them to learn, the language of, again, the language of identity, to be able to understand who they are, how they relate to other people. And with that language, youth then tell us what they need from us and what they need from their teachers and what they need from their communities. And I think, it's, one thing that organizations like Tannenbaum, I think, can really do well and really try to work on is learning how to listen to what youth are telling us about what their needs are and figuring out ways to best address those needs.
And thank you, Daniel. Thank you for this, especially last section of your input about listening what youth and what young people want, and actually helping them to somehow express themselves what they need. Sometimes it's not so easy to express what we need, but it's super important that you work on this, and absolutely thank you for that. We are almost on schedule, a little bit behind, but we have the third round. And the third round is going to focus on the question of how are youth influencing their community. So now we are speaking about the influence of young people. But again, before we ask our panelists, our speakers to tell us this, we are again asking you as audience. So for the third time, please connect to our link that you can find in the chat or using the QR code, and give us your answers, because we really want to know that. So what ways are young people influencing their communities? So you can hear answers like bringing new ideas, future new ideas, innovations, adapting to new technologies, innovating again, new technology. I can see a lot of new things, or the new ideas or new approaches or new technologies, innovations. More answers coming. So let's see one or two more answers, and then the poll will stay open, so you can add more of your answers, and we will soon proceed with our speakers. I can see creativity. This is very often actually connected to young people. Whenever I speak to young people or to the adults, they always say like, young people are just bringing something fresh, something new, something creative, something out of the box. Influencing leaderships and positive space. Okay, thank you very much for all of these inputs, and thank you for emphasizing new things like new technology or new ideas with young people. As you know, in the first two rounds, we had our speakers speaking in the same order. We are going to do it again the same, so nothing new here. So I'm going to ask Diana, how are young people influencing their communities? And Diana, the Zoom is yours.
Thank you, Mina. Well, first of all, we have a lot of examples really that during which we understood that how important is the work with the people coming from different communities. First of all, we as Youth for Peace, not just in our membership, but also within our members, but also within our participants, have this unwritten rule to invite participants from different communities, coming from different religious, national, and other types of backgrounds, in order to make more efficient the work that we are doing. I mean, enabling people together to come along with the same idea of saying something about a certain topic. Means a lot, especially regarding my first question, my first answer to the first question. As I said, a lot of communities are still so close, and we can simply say that it doesn't seem actually that are we are living in 2022, but in some, pre-war time. And it's a pity not to use these opportunities that not just us as an organization, but also other organizations offer. I would like maybe to speak to you about one nice example, a project that we realized a few years ago. It was called Your Past, Present, and Future, and was done with participants coming from 4 countries from the region. Unfortunately, again, a lot of those countries, I mean, all of those countries have this bad etiquette of being a post-conflict society or a society that has faced migration, immigration, war, conflict in some kind of way. But there are a lot of things that also gather those people. First, the language or the languages, as we like to call them here, because they're mostly more or less the same, and we all understand each other perfectly. This was a really great project that gave us once again a proof of how important is not just our, but all the work that peace builders around Bosnia and Herzegovina and around the world are doing. Those young people had fortunately the opportunity to also do some follow-up activities that was really important for them. I know that I know how much that meant to them, because once they come back in that small community they came from, like the level of energy of positivity slowly goes down. It's reasonable, of course, because a lot of them are from the communities where they are a minority, and I think, of course, that this is mostly much difficult for them than the ones that are the majority. And they face the same, reality. They came back from their reality, and the balloon they were in during those 4 days during the seminar is, gone. So it is really, really important for us to have the opportunity to encourage the people after the activity. We really like to keep in touch with them throughout the organization that sent them, or simply because there was also the possibility that they participated as individuals, to keep in
Diana,
touch with them.
you. And I have to cut you as well. I'm really sorry.
Cut me.
But thank you for that, and thank you for sharing this very concrete example with us, what you are doing and what are the actually ways how you are influencing the communities, especially in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but in the whole Balkans region. Again, thank you for that. And from you, we are going to Oluwasegun again to hear from him how youth are influencing their communities in Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. Yeah, the youth are, as you know, they are very important in any governance developments or in any community development. And one of these, the youth have been influencing their community, especially the community where I belong to, is the aspect of voting. The youth now understand the importance why they need to be included in voting process. As the general election in Nigeria is coming 2023 by February, we'll be having the presidential, the state, and also the various other arms of the government. So the youth have been, rising because of recent, 2 months ago, the registration for new people to be able to vote have already concluded. And from statistics from the body in Nigeria responsible for election, discovered that the youth have been so much, they are one of the, like, out of 100%, the youth have taken about 60% of new registrants for the new the election coming up in next year. Now, this shows why that the youth understand that there is need to be included in governance, in supporting government, and also in community development. The youth have been rising. And in Nigeria, the youth have now been able to realize the importance why they have to be understand how the country is being governed. Because if you look at the government of Nigeria, most of the government officials are older people. And that is the reason why the youth have to be included. They have to be inclusiveness. Whether you are a man or a woman, you have to understand your power in your vote. So the youth understand the need, why they need to be included in voting, in the election, and also in governance. So that is the aspect where the youth have been engaged in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oluwasegun, especially for being inside your 3 minutes. Absolutely, I just want to reiterate once more that youth and everybody needs to understand the power they have when they are voting, the power of their vote, and the power that they can do something and change something, not just saying, okay, I don't want to vote because I'm not going to change anything. It's important to use the power that we are given, and that's the power of voting. So thank you for reiterating that. So from Oluwasegun, we are going to Kalakazi again, and we are going to hear from her. Kalakazi, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Amina. I think from my perspective, I'm seeing young people really adopt this solution of becoming an agent of change through their interaction with areas of governance. So young people now are beginning to vote, they're beginning to get involved and run for various spaces of office at community level. They're also starting businesses so that they create jobs. And they are aligning these businesses with SDGs based on the area. So, you know, a lot of women now are finding innovative solutions towards SHR and feminine solutions, and they take pride in that. So young people are tackling those who have the space, those who have the capacity, and those who are capacitated are sharing that through establishing channels and means, and they're beginning to enlighten other young people who may not necessarily have that opportunity to do that, but really just being agents of change in what they can, using their skills, creating more jobs. And a growing thing now is really their involvement in public and governance affairs through office, through voting and things like that. That is most certainly what is happening in the Southern African region. Yeah.
Again, thank you for your input, and I'm super happy to hear that young people are actually engaging, you know, in those, as you said, local politics and in places like that, and also opening up their own businesses and creating jobs for other young people. This is very important, and thank you for sharing this with us. So I do hope that we are going to see much more examples like that in all other parts of the world, like it's happening in South Africa. So from Kalakazi, we are again going to Dania, and we are going to hear from her.
So at Interfaith Youth Circle, we are essentially made up of youths, and we try to keep passing on the torch to the newer and newer generations. So currently our social media intern, for example, she is 17, and I find that it's really great because she's been able to really tap into the discussions happening among youth on the ground, which is an invaluable perspective, because then she can help to contribute ideas to create opportunities that are more effective for change and dialogue on the ground. So the good thing is that building friendships across communities at a youth level means that in the future, we'll have better future leaders and activists. And I think some of them already are activists and change makers. In Singapore, for example, where my organization was founded, the older generation amongst the general population, they tend to be more afraid of rocking the boat, more likely to feel like they cannot effect change. And we don't really see that amongst the youths. They're full of energy, they've got a voice and they want to use it, especially with social media. So what I found is at a personal level, we do see youths engaging in conversations about sensitive topics, about intersectional issues, things that are affecting our world today, climate change, racism, privilege. We talk about things like that, and they are able to engage with members of their own family. I think that is an important discussion to have with someone who you feel close to and that you feel safe engaging in dialogue with. And then at a bigger level, we also see them being part of the larger conversation. They're very active on social media. I see all kinds of thought pieces going out on the social media sphere and being shared. You also see youth sharing their views at events, coming up to the microphone and speaking. So I think those things have a great impact Yeah, so that's for me.
Thank you, Dania. And I would like to just emphasize again that you said the role of friendships that is being developed among young people that is going to influence them in the future. This is something that sometimes we see it as like a added value of the programs, but it shouldn't be an added value. It should be also one of the goals of the program that we are actually creating in order to empower young people. So these friendships are going to somehow make influence and make some kind of impact later in their lives and on the communities that they are living in and leading. And our last speaker for today, but not the least, of course, is Daniel. So let's hear from Daniel about his insights on this topic of how young people influence their communities.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think that where I'd start is just in that, that idea of the energy and the voice of the youth, and how they are taking, the learning and the skills that, that are being addressed and that we're giving, in the course of our work and really running with it in their own ways. One of the things that I see a lot in my work, not just with youth, but also, again, with teachers, with parents, with administrators in schools, is that there's a lot of interest in addressing topics of diversity. There's a lot of interest in helping youth get involved and empowering them in various ways. There's a lot of interest in, addressing difficult topics together, but there's, and people are constantly looking for how, they're trying to get that question answered of how we can engage. What are some opportunities for us to engage the youth and to, work with them and to, really, express ourselves, in the public sphere. And so one of the things that we see a lot, and that I find really exciting when we work with youth, is how they're able to take what we give and really bring that back to their school communities and change, make change within the school communities, working with the other parts of that community as their partners. So in some cases, this means, like last year, we had students in a student council create a door decorating contest for the holidays, to show the variety of ways that youth and families, celebrate holidays, and the theme was inclusivity on understanding, holiday celebrations. At another school that we worked with, we brought together Catholic and Muslim students in that school, to have them get to know each other a little bit better, to sort of bridge divides between those communities within the school. After we were done working with them, they continued to find opportunities to meet with students from other schools, from other religious traditions. Right now, children from that school, students from that school, are meeting with students at a Jewish day school, also in New York City. And so again, like, they're just taking this and really running with it. And so I think it's just like, finding those opportunities, getting examples of what that, engagement might look like, and then giving them the inspiration to, find those opportunities on their own after we engage with them.
Thank you all for all these great inputs, these great insights, to sharing with us all the work that you are doing, and to actually showing us that young people are not just there to be empowered and to be equipped, but also to be taken as a serious partners, as somebody who has so many to offer, who has so many, as we said, bright, new, fresh, out of the box ideas, something creative. But as also Georgia said in the chat, young people are bringing something that is like unconventional, something that, coming with more enthusiasm than the adults, than the senior ones. So this is super important. So thank you again. I could see that there is one question for KAICIID, but she's already addressing it about that she works in Lesotho, so she'll probably address the question in the Q&A. Again, I would like to thank our audience for being involved, for giving us those great inputs, those great insights about their opinion on the topic, for being connected with us, at least through the poll that we had, and for staying with us all of this almost 90 minutes and listening to our speakers. And coming to the end of the session, I would like to ask each speaker to take a few seconds and just share with us final message or some kind of takeaway of the conversation today. So we are going to start with Diana and go in the same order. So a very, very short takeaway from this webinar, and what are you taking with you?
Well, the only thing that really I can say, just thank you, an amazing thank you for all of you guys for doing this amazing work. Thank you to KAICIID for organizing this webinar, and thanks to all the participants, to all of the members of the audience who decided to take this afternoon to listen to us, boring peace builders around the world, but not less. People that are really inspired and passionate about their job. It was really a pleasure for me, and thank you much. Good luck to all of you.
Yeah, firstly, I would love to appreciate KAICIID International. It's been an amazing journey with you guys. I've been following KAICIID so much, and I really appreciate all the work you've been doing internationally, and also for our audience, also for partaking in this important webinar about youth. And also, I believe that there is power in the youth to influence their community and also to ensure things are working. So I believe that we, the youth, can do more to ensure that our community are being impacted positively. Thank you.
Thank you. Kavekazi.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank KAICIID for always being a unifier, a safe space, for us, and always, just being an agent of the change at a global level, and for the various initiatives that we're pushing in various capacities for us to keep going, connecting with one another, and speaking progress into existence. One little initiative, one webinar, one intervention, one graduate fellowship at a time. There has never been a better time to be a young person. There has never been a better time to exist. And we have so much to leverage. We need to focus on that. And I think we are well on our way. So thank you so much to the participants. And if there's anybody who would like to take the conversation further, they can get in touch definitely with us in Southern Africa and via my LinkedIn, so that we amplify and push the agenda forward and so forth. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Tania.
I just want to say I'm very happy to be here this morning to see and meet with all of you and hear from all the work that's being done all over the world to empower youths. I think the work that we're doing is crucial. We're living in a crucial time, I feel. It's on the brink of some change. Good or bad, I hope it's good. I think the youths that we are empowering today are going to have a big impact on the kind of future that we will have. So I'm very inspired by everyone today.
Thank you. And Daniel?
Yeah, thank you. And I also want to thank KAICIID for giving us this space for these different organizations working in so many different contexts and engaging youth in different ways to share their knowledge and their and share their tactics and strategies for engaging youth. I've been taking notes the whole time on different ways that youth can be engaged and different benefits that they can get from it. And I guess the one thing that I'm taking from this discussion and that I'm hearing from what everyone is saying is that the youth are really, they really want to be engaged and they really want to share their voices and are looking for those opportunities. And so, I'm really glad that, there are organizations like these that are finding imaginative, finding creative ways for youth to, get that agency that they're really looking for. So thank you all.
And again, thank you. This is a great way to finish our webinar. And it was a pleasure to be moderator here and to speak to all of you. If you missed the conversation or parts of the conversation, check out our YouTube channel. There will be a recording. And I would like to thank Georgia as our introductory speaker. I would like to thank our panelists for their great inputs. And I would like especially to thank you, our audience, for participating, for being here with us, and for sharing your opinions and your ideas through the polls that we had. We hope that we are going to see you on the next webinar, and keep an eye on social media of KAICIID for new announcements. And don't forget to fill in the evaluation form that was sent by Elizabeth in the chat. So thank you once again, and hope to see you on another webinar.